Right, okay guys, welcome to another video where I take a look at a computer magazine. Now this one is Ace magazine. It was a multi-format sort of computer and video game magazine. First published in, I believe it was, the first issue was October 1987 and it ran until issue number 55, with the last magazine going out in April 1992. It was a multi-format magazine. It was I think it was probably the first multi-format magazine that I got. Well, that's not technically true because computer and video games was multi-format, but it was the first kind of new generation. You know, it was embracing the 16-bit era, although it did still look at 8-bit machines as well. So anyway, let's take a wee look. Right, this issue is May 1988. So what have we got here? Let's have a look. The latest and the greatest. These were all, was it LucasArts games I think there was? Archon, ROM 1499. I'm guessing that must be on the Atari. I mean, these games were all released on Atari, Commodore 64, Fight Night, Blue Max. Yeah, there we go. All games shown are compatible with Atari XE game system. Ah, so that's what it was. It was the ill-fated Atari system, cartridge system, which came out after the sort of it was after the 8-bit machines came out. So these must all been released on cartridge. So what have we got here? Silicon Spires, Zark on Atari ST, the new Spectrum compatible computer, Atari's Transputer workstation, all up and running and all in Cambridge. It was definitely the 90s. Look at this guy here, Jack Lang of Perillion with Transputer add-on board, whatever that might be, the meaning of life. Interceptor, Electronic Arts F-18 Interceptor ready for takeoff. Wonderful game that. Play by mail chicken tactics. Yeah, anyway, let's get into the meat and bones of the game. Let's have a look at who actually was the co-editor. Peter Connor, Steve Cook, Andy Walton, Rod Lawton. I don't recognise any of these names, I must admit. Yeah, right, okay, what have we got here? ATF Advanced Tactical Fighter. Available for Spectrum, Amstrad, Amstrad CPC and Commodore 64 digital integration. What's this? Atari Coin-Op sensation. A Midlands coin-op company has developed a revolutionary coin-op arcade console that promises to close the gap between computer software and arcades. What on earth is it? Our system is miles better than the Arcadia setup. Well, it was miles better that nobody actually remembers it. So I'm assuming it never actually came to fruition. Amstrad, where now? If he's going to get into the market, he's got to have to be quick, declares Tim Cheney of US Gold. Just a few of the random remarks overheard by the Ace team over the last few weeks on the subject of Alan Sugar's much rumoured new 16-bit machine. Just what is the state of the rumour these days? 16-bit? Was there a 16-bit Amstrad? I don't think there was. Maybe there was. Who knows? Elite Go budget. Be prepared for classic Elite titles including Commando, Airwolf and Frank Bruno's Boxing to tumble into your lap for a bargain £1.99. Telecom Soft Grab US Blockbusters. What is that? Shadowgate. That looks like it's in the... No, it's an Apple Mac. And this poor chap has had his mouth sewn together, it would appear. One of the problems with 16-bit software is spending lots of money on developing games with mega Jarzaz graphics and ending up with subtle 8-bit gameplay. Black Lamp Exterminator. What is that one there? Is that Black? Oh, that's Black Lamp. Yeah, I remember that game. I think that was a Firebird game actually. I wasn't overly keen on it. It had nice graphics, but it was all very sluggish. There we go, Zark, also known as Bird of Prey. Now, Zark was the game that was released on the Archimedes. I didn't actually think that Zark... So it came out as Bird of Prey, provisional title. I didn't think that game was released. There was a game called Virus, which was very, very similar. I wasn't aware that was actually released. Possibly it was. In brief, BT by BO. Bo Youngberg The programmer who thrilled Spectrum owners with the isometric adventure Fairlight 3Ds is now working on his first 16-bit title for Telecom Soft. A new title, Spectrum title Resolution, is also under development. After 3 years this side of the North Sea, German games house Ariola Soft have pulled out of the UK software market. According to Ariola Soft UK man Will Carmichael, the firm has failed to make enough of an impact on the market. Right, what else have we got here? Telecom thrust expert Colin, that Fudge? Fudge? I don't know, we'll go for Fudge. Up and away. Remember that. My goodness, John Symes looking towards the Amiga. He's a scary looking man. ST Soccer, I remember that game. It looked wonderful and it was pish. There we go for you, the Amiga Platoon Whizball Eco. I was always proud of Eco because I remember discovering a cheat mode. I didn't actually read it, I actually found out, I can't remember what it was. You pressed a couple of keys and it gave you infinite energy, and then shortly after it became public knowledge. Whizball, I always thought the ST and Amiga versions of that were not a patch on the original Commodore 64. $24.99 snippets. You know, strip poker, it was amazing how how popular strip poker was, especially on the 16-bit machines. I suppose it's because it was the first chance young boys got to see naked women, because I mean, you know, the 8-bit machines simply were not good enough to display believable graphics, but then when the 16-bit machines came along, you know, they could display what were, you know, semi-realistic looking naked women. But obviously we've now got streaming porn, so who needs strip poker? Aye, anyway, yeah, Stargoose, I remember that game, it was not very good. Cyber Knights, don't remember that one. Hercules. Gremlin graphics. Ancient Greece is the setting for this arcade adventure that gives the player the chance to battle out with skeletons, minotaurs in an attempt to complete 12 terrible tasks. Birds of a Feather. Right, Starglider 2. That's an amazing game. If you've never played Starglider 2, you need to play it. Play it in an emulator if you don't have a real 16-bit machine. But it's got some of the sort of most atmospheric sound effects you could ever imagine, especially when you go up into the moon and you see, or up into outer space, and you'll see space whales and you get the sort of calls. It's amazing, really atmospheric. Test Drive, my god, that game has been going a long time, and here we are, 2017, and we're still playing Test Drive games. So that was what, 30 years ago. It was one of these games that just looked the part, you know, stunning looking graphics, but the actual gameplay itself didn't really deliver. Yeah, it had amazing looking graphics, but the machine just wasn't really capable. Well, that's not true, it was capable, but you know, being an early game, it just didn't have it hadn't been programmed very well. 10 greatest games. What have we got here? The Duct, don't remember that one. Auf Wiedersehen, Monty Mask, Death Wish 3, Jack the Nipper and Coconut Capers, Bulldog, Final Matrix, Thing Bounces Back, Basil the Great, Mouse Detective, Convoy Raider, Samurai Trilogy and Rebounder. Winning Atari ST! Has your ace card come up trumps this month? First prize an Atari ST with colour monitor. 4 second prizes, £50 worth of software. The decoder program. This short program will decode the 4-letter code printed below next to the prizes. What's that? If it turns, I can't even read that. It turns each code into a live digit number. Blah blah blah. Anyway, I can't be arsed. So you could type it into your Commodore 64, Amiga, or Amstrad. What's this? Shackled. Unchain your imagination. Looks kind of similar to it looks similar to a cross between Gauntlet and Alien Syndrome. Arcade Adventure Shackled. I don't remember that game, never even heard of it, I must admit. Under starters orders, what's this? International Soccer Micro Deal. Yeah, this is bollocks. There are a couple of wonderful football games already available for the 8-bit machines, but they're no good to you if you own an ST or Amiga. Microdeal to the rescue, I don't think so. Quadralian Interceptor, that wonderful game. I never really played it much, but I always used to show it off to my mates. I would take off from the aircraft carrier like so, and then I would do the outside view so you could see behind, and then I would activate the thrusters and the little bit would turn yellow, and it just looked amazing. I mean, it was just flickering yellow, but it looked incredible. It was such a wonderful game. Dark Side. Now playing at a store near you. Grand Slam ST Wars, don't remember that one. Computer animation can take any one of a number of forms, most of which rely on techniques quite similar to conventional animation. Colour switching, sprites and blitter objects are all basically processes giving the impression of movement. Getting animated. What were the games, what were the software packages I used to use in ST? Was it Degas Elite, I think it was? I remember that in ST, and then obviously it was Deluxe Paint on the Amiga. The problem is, we all thought that because we suddenly had these powerful computers with software that we could become artists, but the problem was, if you couldn't draw before you had a computer, you're not going to be able to draw just because you've got a computer. So it didn't take me long to realise that I had no talent when it came to drawing anything. Dungeon Master and Oids. Oids is a wonderful game. The only thing I didn't like about Oids in the ST was the scrolling. It wasn't very good, but the game itself is lovely. Dungeon Master, again, it was a massive game, but I never really got into it. I've never ever got into adventure type games. Welcome back, Pac-Mania. There we go, in the arcades. Now you can play it for free. It's the names Clyde, Inky, Pinky, Funky, Blinky and Sue. Make you break out in a cold sweat and start gibbering about power pills, blah blah blah. You look at the diabolical screenshots. They quite literally must have just taken a photograph of the arcade. What's this one here? I can't even pronounce that. Exysis Tato, never heard it. Blastoise is an excellent arcade, well, it's kind of Asteroids, isn't it? Cyber Tank, don't remember that one. Vigilante, yeah, it's a kind of poor man's Double Dragon. Bionic Commando, great version on the Commodore 64. The Commodore Amiga one wasn't that good. What of the highest ace rated game ever, Atari's supercharged ABAQ, whatever that is, and a Spectrum compatible micro for the third world? What? All got in common, Cambridge, that's what. The SAM prototype. In the boom years of 1982 to 84, Cambridge was the centre of British microtechnology. Well, I'll not argue with that point. I mean, that's where the Mr. Clive Sinclair set up shop. Sinclair Research, King's Parade, conquerors of the pre-Amstrad micro scene. Sinclair had their registered office upstairs from a row of gift shops and tobacconists overlooking the magnificent and much photographed chapel of King's College. There you go, so if you still live there, that's part of history. Yeah, there's Zark. Like I says, it came out in the Archimedes. I don't remember it getting released in ST. Perhaps it did, I'm not too sure. I've got no idea what this is. A multi-story ABAQ motherboard. Don't know, there's our smiling friend. And this chap with complete with a bow tie. Computer Mart department, blah blah blah. Send now for your free, did they forget to put in, type that in, free copy of the CompuMart ST information pack. Aliens Alive, alright, will there ever be a game in which the alien opposition actually evolves its own intelligence? Could Space Invaders learn to fight back? Yeah, this game, Eco, it was quite a revolutionary game. It supposedly had amazing AI. Quite if it did, I can't actually remember. It was actually quite a boring game. I like the idea behind it. You basically start off as like an insect, and then you devour other insects, then you become like a rat, and then you can eventually kind of like, you know, evolve, and I think you become a human being eventually. This game here, this was Deus Ex Machina. Yeah, Video 1984, hailed as a step forward in game development, the first concept game, yet even then it was more talked about than played. Mainly because actual gameplay was restricted humdrum. Yeah, basically it was you played an audio tape and you had very little sort of interaction with the game itself. So yeah, here we are, 30 years on, we still don't really have any games that are strictly, you know, AI. It's wonderful. It's always a lot better than it was, but Arkanoid Revenge of Doe. Love the original, never really played the sequel, to be honest with you. Free films for a year. 3 lucky films will get 52 free cinema tickets. Who would have thought that 30 years later you'd have a thing called an Amazon Fire Stick, which would give you access to virtually every film ever released. Yeah, this was quite a, Cinemaware. They did, what was it called? Rocketman. They Came from the Desert. They also did Defender of the Crown. There was one, there was one like set in the mafia in New York, and there was also one about the sort of Middle East, I think it was as well. Pandora. Firebird, you know, that was, I think I played that in the video I made recently. Right, what games have we got? In fact, I'll not bother reading that, we'll just get straight in. So there we go. Yeah, Oids, wonderful. The tiny detailed graphics reach their peak with the perfectly animated Oids themselves, but are low-key enough to let you concentrate on the game's unrivaled action. If you're sick of all those glossy disposable ST shoot-em-ups, get Oids. It'll knock your socks off. Now it's a wonderful game. Now what I liked about Ace, rather than, well, they do give a score, but they've got what's called a predicted interest curve. So it shows you here, what's this interest level? After a minute you're only 70% sort of interested, then it gradually goes up. After about 1 day to a week you'll reach 90% interest, and then it gradually tails off. So it was quite a sort of unusual way to think the games, but yeah, that's a lovely game. It was one of the last games I bought from Atari ST. In fact, I remember buying it, and then I think it was literally a few weeks after it I decided to get my Commodore Amiga, and I couldn't play it anymore, and I was quite upset about that. Rockford, this was yet another sort of sequel to Boulder Dash, but it just didn't really work. Video Vault Computer Companion edition, now hot off the press. Let's see, what can you pay for? Update your rubber keyboard to a new Spectrum for only £24.95. Replacement power supply, £9.95. Keyboard membranes. It's a pity these places didn't still exist. Ferrari Formula 1 screen test. I remember this looked amazing, and I always thought, a bit rubbish. So you can see there, it kind of peaks after about 1 day to a week, and then it just slides right off. What did I get? 856. I don't know quite how they get this figure. I don't know, what's this one here? Return to Genesis. Oh, I remember that game, that is pretty awful. Morpheus by Andrew Braybrook. It was a game I never really got into. It looks amazing. I mean, just look at the screenshots there, it looks amazing. But I wasn't a big fan. I mean, 772. Though the game's tough to get into, perseverance really pays off. Once you start accumulating the money and buying better weapons, the game can become very enthralling. A good, entertaining game if you're prepared to put in some work at the start. Magnetron, that was basically a 3D version of Paradroid. 904. Arkanoid 2, Balls Bounce Back from Imagine. 671 for the Spectrum. Bad Cat, and I remember that advert also, that looked bloody awful. I don't actually know what the game is. Is it called Bad Cat? It looks like some kind of mini game type thing. The graphics used are of a high standard, the event's original and the sound is superb. And look at how pathetic the actual artwork is for the advert itself. Dungeon Master, here we go. This is, I wasn't a fan of it, but you know, it was a game that really lots of people really got into. It was the first kind of like real-time game. You know, the baddies actually moved about. Yeah, and it didn't move super smooth, but it was quite involved. I mean, you've got there different weapons and food, and you can pick things up. The graphics, though largely repetitive, are wonderfully drawn and coloured. Sound is sparse, but the effects are great. A thrilling game with plenty in it to keep you searching, fighting and pondering for a long time. So there you go, it goes right up to, it kind of stays at 80 on the predicted interest for over a month. So you should get plenty for your buck with that game. Strike Fleet Electronic Arts Pipe Your Board. Don't recall that one. What's this? Black Shadow. Don't remember that one either. Seconds Out. Yeah, I remember this, thinking this looked really nice. It looked great and it was pish. it was one of these typical early games in the 16-bit. It was all graphics with no gameplay. What's this? Dreadnought. Melbourne House. Don't remember that one. May the Force go with you. Arcade Force 4. Atari Games Roadrunner. Indiana Jones, Metro Cross, and what's the other one? Gauntlet. Not a bad collection actually. Was that out? Yeah, you should get it for the ST as well. Quite a good way to buy cheap games. You'll notice here it wasn't out for the Amiga. Here again, the original Gauntlet didn't come out in the Amiga either, so that's possibly why. Sidearms, great game. C64, the best of the bunch, simply because it has a simultaneous two-player option. This makes the game more enjoyable and therefore likely to keep you interested for longer. How much are the games? $9.99. Okay, so yeah, normally games are more expensive on the C64, but I think the Amstrad and Spectrum had kind of caught up at that point. Driller, again, it's one of these really clever sort of 3D sandboxy type games. Again, it wasn't one that I was into that much. Mercenary, I've actually done a video looking at 8-bit versions of that, which I'll be putting out hopefully soon. What is that? Wizard Wars by Go, don't remember that. Armageddon Man, was that not a TV programme? I think it might have been actually. Right, what's this? Battle Valley, Alien Syndrome, great game. Pac-Man was a very compulsive game, it still is so many other classic games. Sega, I can't even figure out. Oh, is this in the Master System? I think it is. It doesn't make it entirely clear. I think it is a Master System. Yeah. Intrigue, Mirrorsoft, join the fight against crime. Kind of this magazine. I mean, there is a bit of colour, but then I was going to say there's some black and white pictures, but that's because that's black and white, so you can't fault them for that. GB Air Rally. I remember playing that on the Commodore Amiga. Actually, quite a good game. It always reminded me of the section in Pilot Wings on the SNES. You're having to fly a plane, but that was actually quite good. Guts. I'm sure there's one of these games, is it on the Spectrum Commodore 64 possibly, or is it Amstrad? I don't know. It's worth a lot of money if you've got the original Guts. I think it might be the Amstrad. I think it's worth quite a lot of money. Never actually played it. Right, what have we got here? Frightmare, Cascade, Get Traumatized. Oh bloody hell, Cascade. Them off 50 games and a free calculator watch fame. Championship Sprint. Yeah, see, these are all black and white, so it's interesting how so many pages were colour and other ones weren't. See, in my head, I always remember this game as being full colour, but obviously that was old rose-coloured spectacles kicking in. I mean, I know this is a scan of a magazine, but I mean they're really quite dire looking. Slap Fight. I don't remember that game being out in the ST actually. ATF and the C64. Rolling Thunder, what version was this? Wonderful music and effects. A shame that the gameplay then doesn't live up to expectations. Marginally better than the Atari ST version, which says it all. The Atari ST one was diabolical. Right, Double Trouble, what is this? In theory, the joy of playing computer games is that you don't need to go off and find a human opponent. The computer itself provides opposition. That's all very well for games like chess. It's just you and the micro on equal terms, but when it comes to Space Invaders, there's something missing. Right, so this is games that I've got. Or is this looking for multiplayer? See, that's really nice. That was BMX Simulator on the Amiga. Really nice graphics. Yeah, these are all multiplayer games. International Karate, Jet Bike Simulator. Some cracking games. Plutos. Actually, that was one of the first games I ever got for the ST. By the way, apologies about, you can see here it's kind of folded over. That's just the way it's been scanned. That little section here is basically that bit. Wave the Exploding Fist. Wonderful game. Strategy Special. What is it about strategy games that attracts a certain kind of games player? Yeah, strategy games. Me and strategy games have never ever got on. I've just never had the patience to actually play them. But they were massive, especially in the 16-bit era, because you know the machines were becoming more powerful. Free stick this fabulous £14.95 Quickshot 2 Turbo is yours for nothing when you subscribe to Ace. So you don't get it for nothing, you've got to pay money to get it, so that's technically not true. Ace Special Offers, that was a great compilation. 10 hit games. Barry McGuigan's boxing. What else is there? Yeah, Daley Thompson's Decathlon, I think it was. Right, so if you join their club, you can buy these games cheaper. Target Renegade and Spectrum £7.95, Ace price £6.25. Fill in your mail order form. I don't think I ever ordered a game through one of these club things. Rim Runner. I remember being really excited to get this game, and I bought it on the C64 and it was crap. It was just so dull. It was kind of being touted almost, was it? Well, no, I was going to say it was being touted as a follow-up to Barbarian. It was nothing like Barbarian, but Barbarian was an amazing game. Then this came out and I thought that's going to be amazing, and I realised just how rubbish it is. It's got amazing looking graphics, but it's just not very fun to play. MIDI, if you had an Atari ST, then you could connect your computer. It had a built-in MIDI adapter or a MIDI interface. See, this was the kind of bits that I would just scan past, and I'm going to do that right now. Get into crime. Here's a really dodgy looking Michael Jackson. Bard's Tale. In the merry month of May, what better than a multitude of maps? Platoon, Terramex, Bard's Tale. Always had a lot of respect for people that spent time putting together these maps for games. I never had the patience. Backlash. Alright, so you can type in a little program. There you go. Black Lamp. Platoon. Lovely looking game. Again, it was one that I just never actually played. New low price ST. Wait a minute. Due to a worldwide shortage of memory chips, prices of many computers have gone up. From 1998, Atari ST range is also likely to be affected. So it's telling you there new low price, and then it's telling you it's going to go up. Or is that to try and make you, try and persuade you to then go ahead and buy it at this cheap price, possibly? Right, another insult-packed issue of letters, most of the nastiness stemming from your views on the touchy subject of piracy. Oh, you can't beat a bit of piracy. Let's see, let's look for a good piracy letter. I thought I would write in to confirm Logotron's statement about more mature computer players, and maybe other readers out there will confirm their statement. I think Sentinel is still the best 3D game. I have nearly 7,000 code numbers. Bloody hell. You obviously don't have a life, mate. On Zor, I have 6 screens finished, and in Driller I have found 13 locations. I am a mum of 48 years young and spend most of my time on my Commodore 128. As my family are now grown up, and I find a computer is far more enjoyable than knitting or sewing. Barbara Hudley from Newport, so she was 48, so she would now be, was that 30 years ago? She would now be, she'll almost be 80 years old, bless her. If you're watching this video, Barbara, please let me know if you're still playing your computer. I don't see any mention of, of piracy in this. Please could you answer my question, how would I go about starting my own software hire library? I understand that I would have to get written permission from software companies, but how do I do it? I'll try writing to them, mate. Also, if I get permission, do I have to pay full price for a game and then give them a percentage of what I make? Please answer my questions, as it seems like a good idea and I want to know if it can work. In other words, will I have to pay out a fortune to get it off the ground? Mr. Jason Allen from Birkenhead. I don't know if his business ever did come to fruition. Small ad anxiety. My associates and I are attempting to establish an Atari ST user group. We would like to place an advert in the new pink pages of your magazine. However, there is a apparent limit of 30 words for user groups, but I have noticed that some of the adverts have exceeded the limit. We feel that we require more than 30 words in our advert. We would like to know if this is possible, and if so, what is the extra charge? Bloody hell, I mean, I never realised how dull some of this magazine was. It wasn't all games, yeah. Might and Magic. Sherlock Holmes, and again, it was all kind of similar to computer and video games. It's got different sections. This is obviously all adventure, which I was never interested in. Chicana Computer Services, established since 1978. What the hell were they selling in 1978, considering there were very few computers out at that point? Ace Pink Pages. Oh, I think I remember that. Was this people selling stuff? I think it might have been actually recommended software. So they basically recommended games. Airball, remember that? It's kind of like Night Lore, but with a ball. You know, an Atari ST Flight Simulator. Yeah. Mega Save, fantastic savings. Sonaro, I mean, look at that, the number of companies that are out there selling software. Turtle Soft. Brain Games. Cam Computers, I'm sure it was this. It's just full of adverts. I don't actually remember. I don't recall there being this many adverts when I used to get this back in the day, but obviously there was. Yeah. Evesham Micros, I bought a few bits and pieces of them back in the day. Specials. Hardware buyer guide. Ah, there we go, that's what it was. Yeah, it would tell you. Does it tell you a price? Right, you can get an Acorn Archimedes for £801. An Amstrad CPC would set you back £199 for the colour one. Apple Mac would cost you £2,294. Atari ST was £299. Commodore 64 was £160. Commodore Amiga was £499.99. Bloody hell. Spectrum, that would cost you plus, was that? Shop around. Plus 2 would cost you £139, so that wasn't too bad. Yeah, adverts. These were, when computers came out, these were really big programs. Pools Winner, the ultimate pools prediction programmer. It's supposed to predict football results, and I don't think it ever actually worked. Well, I've certainly never heard of anybody getting famous selling stuff like that. What's this? Random access. Just shite. A lot of the games, a lot of this magazine was rubbish. It's definitely a magazine that I remember it better than it was. Here we go, Ace Readers pages. So if you're looking for a computer, this is the way to go. Here we go, Commodore 64 games for sale, plus Koalapad graphics tablet worth £70, selling for £35. Phone 021 378 0472. Perhaps I should phone him and see if he's still got it for sale. Commodore with one M. MSX. Kevin's selling that for how much? £250. Bargain. Commodore 64 joysticks. Wow! Joysticks, £480 worth of original games. All Zap magazines cost over £810. Quick sale, £190. Yeah, it's just, you know, this was how we sold stuff back in the day. In a magazine, a 1-year-old BBC Master, £399. Just looking for any. Is anyone selling a Sharp X68000? I don't think it was even a thing back then. Amiga owners wish to hear from other owners from all over the world. Now that's what we use forums for. Aye, so you could get yourself a bargain using that, the blitter end. What's this? Boring. We Are the Champions, International Karate, Renegade, all good games actually. Super Sprint and Atari ST was a wonderful game. Really good. And coming soon, Road Blasters, the hottest, meanest machine you've ever seen. Well, don't build your hopes up, guys, it isn't that good. So anyway, guys, that is another magazine put to bed. That was Ace that was Ace issue number 8. As usual, if there is a particular magazine you would like to see me talk about, just put a comment below. And as usual, guys, thank you very much for watching.
Thanks for watching my main master channel. Please feel free to like, comment or subscribe. You can also follow me on Facebook.